Yay.
Hello, everyone. Whether you are listening or watching, it is a pleasure to have you be a part of the Dragonfly Heart Medicine podcast audience. My name is Kristen, and today with me, as always, my guest, I feel like I always say I have a special guest because they're all special. Every guest that I have, I feel like is really unique, and it's always really awesome to talk about things with like-minded people. So today I have Crystal, and I'm going to let her briefly introduce herself and let us know why she decided to be on the podcast today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Crystal. I am embodying my new name, which is the Dragon Queen. So I'm here for all those vibes. I am a Reiki master. I am a shaman. I am a witch. I have so many other names, and I'm also a therapist and a life coach. So it's truly just all of those things are just where my dreams intersect. So I'm so happy to be here. I'm here to really just expand and to have a conversation around the beings and the mechanics of energy work and how it's so changed my life in the way that I walk through the world. So I'm here to actually spread that message, and that to increase the bandwidth of what the healing frequency that is available to you when you choose this path of being a light worker. So thank you, Kristen, for having me.
Yeah,
I'm so honored.
I mean, some of the ways you just like used words together there, that made a lot of sense. The way
No, I got you.
some of the phrases that you said, like, all these different hats that you wear or where your dreams intersect. Like, I thought that was a really beautiful way to say that. And it, energy work and Reiki, I've like shifted how you walk through the world and like increasing the bandwidth. Like, I like that analogy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun fact, me and Crystal actually met through Reiki. She signed up for one of my Reiki courses. I think she was actually the first person to do my online course ever that I had like created.
Oh my gosh, no way. No wonder why 111 showed up for both of us. Look at that.
So yeah, we started the podcast right at 111 too. So that's kind of how we met. So we do kind of have the Reiki energy work bond kind of going on. So tell me more about how Reiki and energy work have helped to shape how you walk through the world.
Well, how Reiki's helped me to walk through the world differently is that one of the things Reiki allowed me to walk and own in my own sovereignty. And we don't do our due diligence when it comes to maintaining our fields, all of our fields, not just our mental field, which is our thoughts, our emotional body, which is our emotions, and then our spiritual body. And so when I started to get into the work, it changed the way I looked at things, because I was addressing my needs from a complete holistic perspective, whereas society would have you only focus on like one aspect of it, which is like your mental health. And even then there's stigma around that too. But energy work just really just blasts through all of that. So you can really see what you're looking at with precision, and you don't have to spend forever in a therapeutic setting if you choose, and that's something that I've been telling my clients, is that when you deal with the energy work, you don't have to sit in a therapeutic chair like for years and years. Now there's techniques that we can use now to go to the root and dissolve it forever. So and then you're free to make a new choice. So that's just one of the many instances of just how energy work has changed my life, because I apply the same principles that I use with my clients. And because I go first. I don't do anything that I haven't done on myself, and like, because you're your own magic, and so when you own that, the magic becomes more evident to other people, and you become more magnetic when you have embodied, when you embody the magic, like who you are, you're who you are at the core. And so the energy work has just really allowed me to transmute a lot of heavy energy that I had in my field. And I feel more wholeness. I feel more connection to spirit. I feel more connection to myself and others, because I have this self-sovereignty that is done through Reiki. In fact, level 1 is all about the beginning stages of self-mastery. And so that changed my life. Whereas this culture that we're in, it's so taking care of yourself, putting yourself first is selfish. We have that as a cultural value, and energy work really shifts that polarity, because you start to see more. You start to see where your triggers are. You start to see how your reality is reflected because of the thoughts that you think and the emotions that you carry, and because of the things that you do, right? So it's just an acceleration of spiritual growth. I feel Reiki has just attuned me to, and I'm here for every minute of it.
Such a beautiful description. I love how clear you are in your like responses, and like how it's, how the energy is just like coming through you and like speaking your heart, flowing so beautifully and so eloquently. And yeah, I feel like Reiki is more of a holistic approach. It can really help you with mind, body, spirit, and everything in between, as long as you're showing up with no expectations. I feel like sometimes if you show up with specific expectations, they may or may not be what you actually get. I feel like Reiki really just, it goes like the energy just goes like where you really need it to. And sometimes we're surprised with what comes up, but that's what we need, because Reiki really does help to get to that root and show us the beginning and the origins of these limiting beliefs, or these like clouds in our aura, or that dark, heavy energy. And I love also how you said, for you, like you're not like BSing the stuff, when you're telling your clients things, it's things you've really experienced and what you're embodying within your life, to show them that, this is can be for anybody. It's not just me. I've used this to work on healing, and I can share this with you. I do think it really can amplify things. So people have to be really ready, because sometimes it comes with some interesting, things that come up, side effects and whatnot. But as long as you're, with a practitioner you trust, and those things come up, and, combining it with the other things, some people think Reiki is a like substitute for any of the other stuff. Like if you do Reiki, you don't ever have to see a doctor, or you don't ever have to go to therapy, but it's your life. So if you want to do those things too, it's fine. Right. It's about having the whole team to support you wherever you are.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, you did touch on that. And I really love that you appreciate that as well, because that's something that also our culture is really seeing a shift in. And so yeah, you're exactly right. Don't hesitate. As a therapist, of course, I'm going to say, hey, everybody should have the therapeutic experience at least once. And because we're so worthy and deserving of having someone hold space for us and reflect back our feelings. And so yeah, and go see an acupuncturist if you need to, or go see like your primary care physician. We need to just look at it like health and wellness is like a full spectrum without limitation, and so yeah, just really leaning into that expansiveness. I really appreciate that you have you said that as an approach, because I feel like that is where we that's where we're headed. We're headed to the expansiveness that includes, energy work and body work, and, in with the, in with seeing your primary care physicians, and I'm totally here for that, seeing that expanded scope of care, because I feel like
And
we're
there's
all just really
already
deserving to
so
have
many,
access to it.
yeah. And there's already so many more doctors out there that are taking a holistic approach, and you have functional integrative medicine. So there's a lot of shifts and changes within that. And I just really feel this like beautiful blend that's starting to happen between like the Eastern stuff and the Western stuff. And it's not always like you have to pick one or the other.
Right.
Which has been really nice. And you also mentioned throughout this process as well, it's deepened your relationship to source and to spirit. And so what has that been like?
I can share one of my favorite newest memories or experiences, I should say. So I went to get my Reiki master attunement shortly after my mom passed away in late July. And so I ended up I was just on the floor because, and this is another thing, you guys, when you start to attune to the light, your shadows and everything that was hidden and everything that was, buried deep within your consciousness bubbles up to the surface. And so, Kristen, I really like what you had to say. It was like, the light will, pull these things out of you, and you do just have to be ready, and you actually do get what you need in the Reiki experience. Like, you're not, just because you don't have this high flying experience or you don't feel anything, maybe, whatever your experience is, you will get the work, you will get the light, you will get what you need from Reiki. And that's just how the energy works. The energy goes to where it is most needed. And so I was in Puerto Rico on the floor and I was being supported by these lovely women that I didn't know at the time. And I was going through my third eye, like fully open while I was there. And so because the Reiki master attunement, what I was being trained for the day or two before I got the attunement, I was already experiencing these higher levels of frequency. And so when my third eye opened, I ended up in a full shamanic journey without any psychotropics, like psychedelics, I mean. And because that's another one of my gifts, I'm naturally tapped in that way through my Native American ancestry. And so following through those roots has really just been amazing. And that's something that my Reiki journey had inspired me to do, because it increased my ancestral lineage connection as well when I started to attune to the light. So following in their footsteps, it's allowed me to see more. So I was in the journey, and I actually was in the lower world, and I ended up helping my mom ascend to the higher level of frequency to where her soul needed to be. And I didn't realize the significance of that, what was happening, until after that, because healing is ugly, right? It's not, I was literally on the floor, like, purging, guys. This wasn't, healing is not glamorous. It's not, it's raw. And when you're ready to let go of something, you will reach liberation, and not a moment sooner, by the way. And so I was in the shadow world, and my beautiful wolf spirit guide, whose name is Love, she came and got me. And I love telling this story. I know only a few people have heard it. And she came and got me because I was so like, this is what I'm actually meant to do. I'm actually meant to help guide souls. And so that realization came through helping my mother. So, we actually elevated together once while my third eye was opening. I had this full on shamanic journey with her. Like, she was, there. And then, and so after I got back to the middle ground, which is here on earth, the next day, I ended up seeing her visit me in all of her angelic glory. And I felt such a peace in my heart, because she told me, hey, you helped me ascend. And that is no great, like for me, that is just with the work that I do, that is no greater, there's no greater honor than for me to experience that from my mom. I can't, so I can't make I can't make the magic stuff up, people. Like, this literally is my life.
I
And
was just
so
about to say, you can't make this stuff up, folks.
really can't. And so, there's so much magic and so much power and so much grace available to us when we decide to heal, when we decide to heal those self-limiting beliefs, when we decide to attune to the light and actually, dance with our shadows. We have nothing to fear when we walk this path, because you're going to be fully supported. So just for anyone who has had some apprehension about starting their Reiki journey, I will tell them to just keep an open mind and keep an open heart about what you may experience, because every experience is different. And it really just, it helps it's supportive, loving energy that helps you attune to your life and the whatever you desire to create with it. And so, yeah. So that's what it's
Beautiful
been
and
like for
powerful.
me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's a really great, really interesting story.
Oh yeah, it was wild.
So I feel like the very beginning of the healing process is more of the sunshine and the rainbows,
Mhm.
and you feel kind of like you're on a cloud, everything's
yeah.
great. And that's kind of when you're, more up in, I feel like your upper chakras. And to
Yes.
me, this is how my healing happened. I've worked with plant medicine and I've worked with Reiki, and my first Reiki attunement was like that. It was like my life all of a sudden just was magic and everything was so beautiful. And then I got into Reiki 2 and Reiki Master and Reiki Master Teacher. And it's like I started going deeper and deeper into my own stuff. And that's when it starts to get really hard, really messy. To be honest, I'm still right in the middle of some very heavy shadow work. But what you learn to do is it gets easier to lean into that friction, and it gets easier to trust that even though it sucks right now and you're experiencing, you're crying or you're having really intense visions or whatever it is, eventually it's going to stop. And that as long as you fully commit and submit to the process that you're in, knowing that you're supported, not just by spirit and by source, but your whole team, right?
Right.
Of angels and spirit guides and ancestors, we are never alone, even though it can feel very alone to walk this healing path, because we can have, all that support, but we still have to feel it. We do not get an exemption from feeling our feelings,
not at all,
and going to those dark places, but we are held and supported within that. It's we do have it, even though we can't see it, there is a safety net right there. But it can be hard and it can be challenging. And I don't feel like enough people talk about the more shadowy aspects of healing and what that can be like. So a lot of people get to that place and they're like, oh, well, I thought awakening is sunshine and rainbows, and all I'm seeing is dark clouds and lightning and thunder and torrential downpours.
Right.
So I think, it's because you said, the light is going to bring up those shadows, and it usually doesn't happen right away.
Oh no.
In my experience, it's kind of you have to, it's going to go where it needs to go, but and you may not feel like you're ready because you're oh, I didn't think I was ready for this, but you're never given anything you can't really handle. Exactly. And that's how we learn, right? We came to earth to be challenged and to grow. And it would be boring if it was just
every day was the same.
Every day was the same. It might be nice for a week or so, and then you're all right, I need some drama, or I need something to spice up my life just a little bit, right? So we're always collecting data and building contrast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we don't talk about the shadow side enough, because oftentimes we're still living in fear. We're still living in we're still living in survival. And even, living in the upper chakras, that had a lot of exhilaration and bliss to it, to me. So then, but I also through my healing journey, I recognized that part of that was like a trauma response. And so I really had to watch what I was seeking, and being mindful of that. Like, am I chasing this exhilaration because I'm really just ignoring my deepest pain? While I was healing my mother wound, basically all my life. And then when she passed, I felt like I completed that cycle. Now that does not mean, for any of you who are going through the journey, that the mothering aspect of self stops. Just because when your mother transitions, there's still work for you to do, and there's still things for you to unpack in your life. Like I didn't just feel like I had arrived, even though I felt like the cycle had been closed out. I'm still currently, seeking for ways to, and embodying the ways of mothering now, and I feel like it's important to talk about that, because we, as natural born nurturers, we often tend to look for things outside of ourselves really easily to reflect back what we need. And so what the Reiki journey will do is it will have you look inward naturally. You'll start to feel the gravitational pull to look at things in your experience, because your energy is like pulsing with it. And so Reiki also helped me to confront my deepest fear, which was that this wound would never be closed and that I would never see victory. I felt like I was going to stay in the shadow forever. And so for anyone who's struggling right now, lean into the courage, because the shadows are always the darkest when you're about to get your breakthrough. Right before the miracle happens, right before the magic happens, there's this period of just friction where you just don't think you have it in you to go another step. And that's when it's the most valuable to call on your support team, and to remember that you are here to ascend to the light, and you don't have to be defined by your past or the shadows that are in it. You can choose to make a different choice that doesn't look like your past, or what the people in your life have been dictating towards you. And that's just another part of self-mastery. And so I'd say fully lean into it, because it's there's so many life-changing aspects of being attuned that have just been indescribable, even though I feel like I'm expressing like the core of it really well here today. But yeah, I just encourage you all to attune, because it helps you to really fall in love with yourself, like the good, the bad, the ugly, the shadow, your past hurts, what you like about yourself, what you don't like about yourself, what's been hidden all these years, and you get an opportunity to look at it all so that you can just calibrate to higher and greater love of self, for your community, for your people, and for the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you kind of ended on that note. I really do feel like when we start this journey of healing, awakening, whether it's with Reiki or yoga or whatever it may be, or just living your life and stuff comes up, when you get to a certain age, you can't hold it in anymore. There's no more room to shove stuff down. So it starts leaking out in all these interesting ways, but it's really just a call to love on an extremely deep level, and to be vulnerable with ourselves, and there gets a point when we we want to just chase those peak experiences, and we want to be on top of the mountain and feel all the awesome stuff, and we don't want to go down into the valleys. But life is about going up to the mountain and coming down, or a pendulum, whatever analogy you want to use. And sometimes it's easier to spiritually bypass and just go straight into like a meditation on the light, or to just kind of leave our body and just stay living in our heart up and not get into the deeper chakras, because that's where we have a lot of our wounding. But it's really just a call to love when the stuff comes up, whether it's limiting beliefs or some of the more shadowy aspects of ourself and personality. our initial reaction is it can be terrifying. It can be scary, right? We get into fight, flight, or freeze.
Or fawn.
But we can, the more we practice just allowing everything that is happening to be present without judgment, then things start to shift. And it can be hard. Like, I'm not going into extreme detail with what I'm going through right now, but like I said, I'm pretty deep into some shadow stuff. And there's days where like all I can do is just focus on my breath because it's that hard, but I know that it's going to shift and I'm not going to be there forever. And just doing the best to show those aspects of myself, love.
Absolutely.
Because, love's all that's really real anyway, at the end of the day. So I feel like we've talked about really awesome, juicy stuff.
Yeah.
And it's been really awesome. I wanted to go back though. Was there anything else you wanted to say on that topic before I ask another question?
Oh my goodness. I feel like I could talk about that forever. But no, you really hit the mark. Because it really is about this journey really is about going and deeper into love. So yeah.
Oh, it's raining all of a sudden.
Ooh, of course it is.
It wasn't even supposed to originally rain today, but I think
I was just silently just praying and allowing like for the healing water to come through for you.
That's
so just embrace it. So.
Pouring rain right now out of nowhere.
Embrace it. You're gonna find your rainbow soon.
People
be on the lookout.
But I did want to go back to in the beginning, you talked about like your new name was like the Dragon Queen or something like that.
Yeah.
And I am really interested to know like how that came about, what connection with dragons really is like, because I keep seeing like all this dragon stuff pop up and I feel like I would really fully understand all the like dragon stuff. So I would love to hear more about that.
I so love this. Well, it's been the culmination of a lifelong love affair here. I'm going to show you. Let's see. I got the dragon that I have right here next to me. Ta-da! This is my Isis dragon.
Very nice.
It's her goddess embodiment. There's a diamond on her head. So, and this was given to me by a dear friend who was my dragon sister. And she passed away about 6 years ago, which started my whole huge awakening journey. And also it was the pinnacle for my dragon embodiment. So last year, I think it was last year. Was it last year? I don't know. Time isn't even real anymore because we're in a pandemic. And time isn't real, period. But so I ended up working with a dragon master because the dragons kept calling to me. I started to see them in my shamanic journeys, and which of course makes perfect sense because I've been writing about dragons since I was 10, and just and I just believe that like my imaginary friends that I had at that time are really the dragons that have been my spirit guides my whole life. And so really coming into that knowledge, and so with my so I sought out a dragon master, and I love this story too as well.
I didn't even know dragon masters were a thing.
Oh, well, they are. They certainly are. Shout out to my dragon master, Alexandra. I love you. And so I started out my dragon light body attunement started early January of this year. And it started out with things crumbling and falling away. So the start of this year, my aunt passed away. And so she was like my spiritual mom. So like so I was on the search for, okay, this obviously is going to bring me something magical, because she didn't just like transition for me to not have, because I'm part of my work that I do with my clients is the retrieval of ancestral gifting. And so I help increase those ancestral connections, because I, as a medium and as a portal channel to the divine, it just helps to help whatever. It helps to support. It makes the portal of love come through shining when you're increasing the connection to your own people, your family, getting to know them and retrieving your ancestral legacy and breaking those ancestral chains. So that's what I'm here to do on earth. And so I ended up going through Dragon Master attunement, and I ended up getting my dragon light body attunement, and also receiving the light language of the dragons attunement as well. So that high frequency that I have, embodied, it's become my life's work. Now now me and the dragons are like officially one, which was something that was on my heart this whole time. Like, who knew? So you're looking at a real live, like, dragons are really real people. And so I'm just looking forward to working more with women about reclaiming their sovereignty, because the dragons will help to collapse the shadow, lift those dark, heavy energies, and also attune you to the multidimensional frequencies of light, unconditional love, and all of those other beautiful, magical things. I've had several clients have like immediate like light language activations, which is the channel to which we all like, all the ancestral, all our ancestry and the celestial beings, they all communicate with each other through light language. So it's just been life-changing to work with the dragons and just know to really embody them and move like them and behave like them and be it, because that is me. So for anyone who's curious about that, that is my work. That's what I'm here to do on earth. I'm here to connect people to their dragons and their, your passions, your purpose, your mission here on earth. I'm here to, be an activator of divine feminine sovereignty and awakening and all of those magical things. So, but yeah, it started out because I was on a quest for connection, actually. And so just knowing that my aunt spoke light language, that was something that I was just like, okay, wow, I guess I'm going to retrieve that now as my ancestral gift. And so, she speaks it along with me. And so her presence is felt when I'm doing work on myself and with my clients. So, and I have the beautiful violet flame dragons as my lineage. So you'll see me wear purple to just really, just represent where I'm from and my lineage. And so, yeah, the dragons are real and they're here to support us. And so, I would say don't be shy if you're willing and ready to work with the dragons. They really are just amazing multi-dimensional beings. I mean, from like the 12th dimension, like, up and like beyond, like every dimension they work in. There's not, they really do work with the higher dimensions. And they will help to attune you, and you don't have to wonder about whether or not the dragons are working on you, because number one, you'll know because they work with such precision. When I use light language with my clients to burst through trauma blocks or self-limiting belief blocks or abundance blocks, the light just, it just dissolves it instantly. So being able to go at quantum speed is the reason why I can say my personal mission statement is that, I'm here to liberate souls. I'm here to, work with women specifically who are willing to be attuned to the frequency, because the dragons have returned. The dragons are here to find their like-minded souls, to find you. So if they're calling to you, don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to help you start your journey and help you find your dragon, and how to work with these beautiful, magical creatures that have just really opened up a world where, my inner child has always danced in. So
beautiful. Yeah, I feel like a lot of these, worlds, other dimensions, whatever, we spend a lot of time there with our imagination when we're children. And then we're told that that's like all that's make believe and our imaginary friends aren't real, and we like grow out of it. But I feel like when we're children, we're just so much more open to that stuff. And what we're imagining is actually like real most of the time. We really are playing with energy and in different dimensions and meeting different beings. And it's just like, whatever. And we forget about that. And then sometimes it comes back up in our adult life and we're like, oh, I must be crazy because
Right.
I'm like seeing and experiencing and walking in these different worlds. And, sometimes it is, some actual physical stuff going on. And
Right.
imbalances with brain chemistry. Like if you have
Mm,
thyroid issues, for example, that can lead to some
right.
really interesting things, which is part of what makes my life so interesting.
Mm.
Living without a thyroid. That's a whole nother podcast right there.
Oh, same.
But yeah, like it's
Yeah.
nothing to be, for the most part, it's nothing to really be afraid of, though. It's just returning to what we already knew and
Yes.
remembering what we came here for in the first place. And I feel my calling is very similar to yours. Like I feel like I'm here to help people remember who they are and
Yeah.
remember that they are whole and complete just as they are, and to just really like tap back into that like depth of love that exists within and without.
Absolutely.
But we kind of forget about the within part, right? And we focus so much on the
Mhm.
outside. And when you were talking about dragons, like I saw like this purple dragon just hanging out, and then you mentioned how like purple is my favorite color, and and I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
I knew it because I was like, mm-hmm.
And purple is my favorite color. When I was younger, it used to be pink, but as an adult, it's definitely shifted to be purple. Like I really love purple,
Hmm.
all shades of purple.
Yeah. It's,
Mhm.
it's the color of
I got a little
royalty.
off track there.
It's
Um,
I love it so much. It's probably because the dragons are around both of us just swirling, seeing what we're up to. That's all.
yeah, probably just a little curious. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about next. We have like 5 to 10 more minutes, or we could end it around 35 if you feel complete. Is there any like little closing remarks that you want to share?
Hmm. um, this journey is also a journey of grace. We don't give ourselves enough credit for what we go through and for our experiences. And so I would like to continue to encourage everyone that if you're in a space where it seems tough, give yourself permission to take a break and to really do something nurturing for yourself. And be proud of what you've accomplished. No measure is too small or insignificant. Um, bring the energy of celebration into your life. It will allow you um, to shift and to be kinder to yourself. The world is already can be cruel place to be. Um, so just attune to the kindness and really begin to explore what does it mean to be kind to yourself. Because oftentimes we are kinder to others when we really need to be kind to ourselves. Um, and you'll be amazed at how much you will heal at an accelerated rate when you're kinder to yourself and you're not beating yourself up for your past mistakes or your fails or um, the perceptions or the self-limiting beliefs. Um, when you can move into a place of acceptance, that's really where the integration happens. So I would say for you, knowing that the shadow doesn't, the goal to recognize them is so that you understand that there's patterns here for you to look at that can be rewired. And also the shadows are meant for us to integrate our personality, who we are, doesn't really leave us. We can make changes that we're desiring to make, however. But the shadows, they're always going to be kind of aspects of our personality. So the more that you choose to, you know, um, look at them in a way that, hey, this is part of me, and this is a part of me that's calling out for deeper love and embodiment, instead of instead of running away or feeling the heavy trigger that's in them, when you look at it that way, like that there's just elements of us that just need more love, it's just going to bring you to a more peaceful, harmonious place. Because I did that dance before where I was just literally fighting every shadow that came up. And I can tell you that I still have the aspects of myself, the shadow aspect, I still have them. They didn't leave. I mean, they just became to a place where they're integrated and they're no longer ruling the show. I'm not, I made the choice not to act out on my wounded child. I tend to recognize where I need to give myself love and where I need to, attend to myself. And so that helped also. So yeah, just calling on just bravery for everyone, because it's, this life has so much things to unpack in it. And so I'm just going to challenge everyone to start to think about, what do you truly desire? What really lights you up? Because it's who you are and all of your magic and your gifts and your personality just makes the world a brighter place, a more whole and complete integrated experience for us all.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't give ourselves enough credit. I think we tend to focus on the next thing that needs healing, the next thing, or I'm tired of healing this one thing. I just want to ignore it and go on to something else. But just like that celebrating how far we've come. Like, did you wake up today? Did you get out of bed?
Right.
Did you show up for yourself? Because sometimes just that act in and of itself can be extremely difficult, because sometimes when we're in the thick of it, we just want to sleep it away. Absolutely. So like something as simple as just like, did you get up today? Did you show up for yourself today? And doing the self-care. Like, I have been feeling called to take so many more baths than I've ever taken in my life. And I'm just taking baths, and just like putting on some music and lighting candles, or, doing, making sure I do a little bit of yoga every day just to like stretch and connect to my breath. And just having a self-care routine is like super important too. And to be gentle and kind with ourselves, and remember that it's not so much about getting rid of, like you said, these shadowy aspects of ourselves, but just integrating everything fully. We have so many separate parts, from like the inner critic to the inner child to so many more. Like, I'm reading this book about internal family systems, and I made a list of like all the parts of me, and I came up with like 45, and I'm like, holy moly, like no wonder I can feel like so many different people. So
time for some soul retrieval.
But anyways, I feel like we could keep talking forever, but I want to go ahead and end it there. I feel like that's a good place to kind of pause. And thank you so much for being a guest, and I will share our information. You have a Facebook group right now, right?
Yes.
So I'll share that so you can get in contact with her and her lovely group. And as more things become available, I can always add and share those as well.
Yes, I love it, because I am rebranding, y'all. It has just been an honor, and to reflect today on where I was when I first started my Reiki journey with you to where I am now. It's all of it has been so unbelievable. Say what?
Said, when was that? I don't even remember.
I can't even remember. I was trying to remember the date before I came on here, but I want to say it's like 2020, because I was,
it had to have been in 2020,
like early 2020.
Yeah, I was
like maybe
I had just moved.
February, March sometime.
Right before the
Can you believe it's like
right before the pandemic became real? Like,
there we go. Yeah. So then that was about, maybe it was like early March. I think it was like right before everything had shut down. And then I was like, yes, everything shut down. I could start my Reiki training. I was very happy about it. I was one of those people, y'all, because I was I was running back and forth to the school system, servicing kids. I was putting 200 miles on my car every day. Like, so now I get to work from home. So,
Yeah.
and build the business of my dreams. So it's, for any of you who are still resisting the ascension process that's here for you, don't hesitate to get a guide that can help you shine a light on where you are specifically, so that you don't have to struggle against the current of life. You can learn how to flow with the energy that is showing up for you.
And, even though we have that, like, support in the spirit realm and the support from source, sometimes it's nice to have that like tangible in person, like 3D, like support. So definitely invest in yourself and find someone you connect with.
Absolutely.
As always, thank you so much for listening or watching.
Thank
And
you,
if the
everyone.
messages in this video resonate with you, please feel free to share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and click the notification icon so you get notified every time there's a new podcast, which is typically every Saturday. Sometimes I skip a few weeks, but thank you to all, and thank you to Crystal. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
See you next time.
All right.